Callie. Can you sit here real quick?
Here?
Yeah. He said here. Here, put that up. We do live streaming on Facebook and YouTube.
Okay.
So
yeah, I see y'all on.
Yeah, there's
I never
sometimes-
catch it live, but I will see the replays every now and then.
the replays or whatever.
Yeah.
The playbacks.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. So Charles.
Oh, Charles up on there?
No, but.
I forgot to hit him
one
up
of
to
the
let him
sisters.
know that we were doing
Just give us a few minutes until he finishes setting up, guys, and then for whoever's already there, and then he'll start the class.
Right. All right. So we're letting everybody get settled in a little bit, but we are going over Genesis. All right. We're trying to. Oh, we got a lot of stuff coming in. All right. Just so y'all know, for those of y'all in the live stream, I'm not really going to be taking questions like that because it's the Sabbath. So we're going to go into exactly what we planned on reading, which is Genesis chapter 10 and 11. Shabbat Shalom to everybody on there. I pray that the Most High deals with us. Thank him for blessing us with the Sabbath day. Pray that he give us all the Holy Spirit so that we could be going in the right direction and that these words be not my own, but actually the words of the Most High from out of the Torah and the whole Holy Bible. All right. So Bucky, what do you remember last from what we was reading in Genesis?
Remember, God created earth in 6 days, rested on the seventh. That the earth in the book of Genesis, or like in the middle to the end of the section, it was like the earth was committing too many sins, and God wanted to purify the earth of all of his sins. So he had one man named Noah create an ark for many years.
Get memory.
Take two of every whole animal and two of every unholy animal.
Two of every unclean, and then how many of the clean?
Seven.
There you go. All right. Amen.
And then God flooded the earth.
All right, good. All right, and we also read that's good. That's real good. Yeah. So you remember a lot. We also read how history documents the flood. All right. We show how other nations also had a flood story similar to what we read in the Bible. So the Bible definitely can't be lying, because if this was the only book talking about it, then you could question it, right? But all around the world in every culture, they have a flood story about how their God decided to destroy the whole earth. Right. So now, if more than one person is saying it, then there have to be some truth to it, right? Mm-hmm. All right, you're gonna be my reader from afar, huh? Mm-hmm. That's cool. Turns. That's cool. So today I'm only going to use two readers. I'm gonna use the brother Yaakov. I'm gonna use my wife. And we're going to go through it. We was at the part where now they're getting off of the ark and civilization is supposed to be built back up. All right. We went into the history book last week on Sabbath, how they said that civilization started from the Mesopotamia area. They said it started from the River Euphrates. And ironically, the mountain that the ark landed on is right at the top of the River Euphrates. So history is linking up with the Bible actually has to say, right? So we're going to continue reading in Genesis chapter 10, and we're going to start from verse 1. Oh, wait. Yaakov, what do you remember about what happened with Ham?
What happened with Ham?
Right. Don't tell me your little brother was paying attention more than you are.
What you mean what happened?
Last week, what happened with Ham?
What happened with Ham?
We just
wait. Let's see if his little brother knows.
I'm not gonna go so far.
All right, hold on.
Let's see one of his brothers know.
What happened?
You talking about the Mondo Magic? I don't know you ain't talking about
Nah. Talking about what we read last week.
Let's see if he knows. The good memory man. Ham. The father of who is Ham?
Oh, I know he had descended of Noah.
The father of who?
That's the father.
He's the forefather of who?
What was you about to say? Because it sounded like your memory started coming back.
I'm trying to
You
figure
got
out what kind of
You got it.
I'm just trying to see if people
It's
remember. what
the
read
story we
last
was
week.
reading last week.
I want to
If
say
not,
Moses, but I know that's not right.
Huh?
Some daughters. I call them.
no, that's forward. So I guess I'll answer some of it. So Noah, after the ark had settled down, you had the three sons, right?
Mhm.
And Ham was the one that, saw his father nakedness, and his father turned around and,
I remember.
so his father turned around and told him that Canaan will be cursed and so on and so forth. Remember that, guys? Okay, there you go.
Oh, he cursed.
Yes.
That's why.
Yes.
Right.
They say you will be servants of servants.
Right. Good. Okay.
All right, so now we
So
catch
let's
up.
let's begin to read. Yaakov, start Genesis chapter 10, verse 1.
Genesis chapter 10, verse 1. Now these are the generations of the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, Japheth.
So now that's Noah's three sons. All right. By these three sons, the whole earth was populated. All right. Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Now, Shem is the father of who we call Arabian people today. Many different Arabians, including us. He's our forefather, right? Then you have Japheth. There, he's the father of all Oriental people, except for two, which we'll get there when we get into Genesis to that chapter. Then you have Ham. He's the father of all African people. All right, read on.
And unto them were sons born after the flood.
Mm-hmm.
And the sons of Japheth, Gomer, and Mongol,
Magog.
and Media.
You said would it eventually be called Media, but it's Madai.
And Japhan, and Tuba, and Meshach, and Tyras.
So now a lot of people, they don't like reading all of the names and stuff, but when you actually look the names up, you'll find out that there's history behind all of this. So now, please do. So now when you read these names, these people, all of these different people became different tribes, right? So for example, you got Gomer, Magog, Madai. Madai is the Medes. All right, it's all right, he good. Madai is the Medes, right? Javan is the original Greeks, all right? And then Magog is the people in today's time that are called Mongolian people. Now, Mongolia is located right there at the end of Russia, right on top of China. And I wish I had a map to show y'all, but all of the maps I got is biblical maps. So they only show you but so much, all right? But Mongolia today, and just to show you what these people look like.
On top. Look,
That's why you see me in here getting my study on, huh? All right. So it's good to have encyclopedias, all right, just so y'all know. And y'all can look up a lot of this stuff. The reason why I say it's good to look it up in an encyclopedia because it's not biblically based. So it's not coming from a biblical perspective. It's more so coming from just a neutral perspective. It got a little map right here. Show it to the people on the internet. All right, so they see I wasn't lying about the location. This is the reason why people say Russia is Magog. All right. But the original people of Russia is still there to this day. And they look nothing like the white people that rules Russia today. Now, to show you some of these people, and I'm going to pass the book around. I'm going to show it to the internet first. These are the type of living circumstances. Well, this is how they used to live. And these people, you can't see it too much because it's black and white, but they're black. All the way up there on the top of Russia. You can pass this book around. Those people are people of color.
They have a toastier version of Native American.
Yeah, exactly.
More toastier, they're darker then.
All right. So those are the original inhabitants of Russia. All you have to do on Google, if you want, just type up in Google indigenous people of Russia or the Aboriginal people of Russia. And you will see pictures of people that look Chinese, some look Native American, all right? And they all people of, darker color, or even if they're not darker color, you'll see they all have an Oriental look, all right? Continue reading.
And the sons of Gomer, and Ashkenaz.
All right, and that's Ashkenaz.
Ashkenaz.
Because when a lot of white people today that claim to be Jews, they call themselves Ashkenazi Jews.
Yeah.
Because that same area that I just showed you, that's the area where a group of white people called the Khazars was living. And they converted overall as a whole to what we call Judaism today. And now they call themselves Ashkenazi Jews. So when they say that they're Jews, or they say that they're Jewish, all you gotta do is pull the scripture right here and say Ashkenaz is from Japheth. He's not even from the line of Shem. So how could y'all be Jews, right? Read on.
Right path and
Togarmah.
Togarmah. And the sons of Javan and Elisha and
Tarshish.
Kittim and Dudam them.
Right. Now Tarshish and Kittim, that's located in the Mediterranean Sea. All right. Tarshish is more like Spain. All right. Kittim is in the same area. This is the area where white people first began to migrate into the European area. When they began to migrate into Europe, they started in Kittim first. And that's a whole nother class, and it'd be too long if I explain that to y'all. But this is where white people started at when they left their homeland in the Middle East. Some of them stayed, some of them wanted to explore. The ones that explored lived in Kittim, they lived in Spain, they lived in Tarshish, and then they eventually spread out to the whole European continent. Read on.
By these was the isles of Gentiles.
When they say by these were the isles of Gentiles, meaning all of the little islands that you see in the ocean, those belong to the Japhetic people. That's why Hawaiians and Filipinos look the same. Even though they're different people, they're different tribes, but they have the same features, same characteristics, and most of the time, similar customs. And the reason being for that is because they all come from the same forefather. Read on.
Divided in their lands. Everyone after his tongue, after their families and their nation.
Now, hold where you at, and I want my wife to go to Deuteronomy chapter 32, verse 8.
32.
So Japheth received the largest portion of the planet, and the reason for it is because he's the oldest son of Noah. So by inheritance, he receives the largest portion. He just didn't receive the blessing of the covenant. All right. Now, when Israel get back in their place and we receive the blessing of the covenant, they're going to dwell in our tents, meaning the whole world is going to be for us. They're going to get their land back, but they got to report to us. All right. Read Deuteronomy 32 and 8.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 32, verse 8. And when the Most High divided to the nations.
Actually, start from verse 7.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 32, verse 7. Remember the days of old.
So a lot of people don't think that this is important for us to read it, but we see how important it is to this day. Nobody knows who they really are. You got black people wanting to be white, white people wanting to be black. White people would spend money tanning themselves to make themselves look black. Black people would spend money bleaching themselves to make themselves look white. So the Bible says, learn who you are. Go back to your forefathers. Read on.
Consider the years of many generations.
Consider the years of many generations. Don't just look towards your grandfather, but find out what his grandfather was like. And the generation before that, and the generation before that. Read on.
Ask thy fathers, and he will show thee.
And then even some of the older people in today's time could tell you the difference in the world that they grew up in versus the world that we grew up in today. You might get some older people that say, I remember when bread was 10 cents, right? I don't ever remember that, but I remember when bread was $1, you know? Right? Read on.
It says, thy elders and they will tell thee.
Read on. So that our elders and they will tell thee, showing you that everybody, their forefathers passed on the story of their lineage. Their forefathers passed on the story of who they are to each other. We have not had the chance to do that because we went into slavery after slavery after slavery under people who tried to destroy our heritage. This is the reason why we're the only people on the face of the earth that will identify with a color. We'll call ourselves Moor. We'll call ourselves black. We'll call ourselves nigger. We'll call ourselves Negro. And all of those words all mean black. Every single last one of them. We're the only people that identify with a color when everybody else could say, I'm from China and I'm from this tribe in Africa and I'm from this country. People say African. Africa is a continent, not a country. All right. It's a continent with different countries, different nations, and different tribes, different languages. So you have to ask yourself, which one do you come from? They know, right? Read on.
Verse 8. When the Most High divided to the nations their inheritance, when he separated the sons of Adam.
Because everybody come from Adam at this point. Remember, all man was killed in the flood. The only person that was saved was Noah, who was the great, I don't know how many great grandsons of Adam. All right, read on.
He set the bounds of the people according to the numbers of the children of Israel.
So every nation is promised what everybody should get. Their own land and their own culture. That's why he said he gave them inheritance. He gave them bounds, meaning boundaries. All right. The Hamite boundaries was what they was able to find first before other people. And if you tried to take it from them, they was able to fight you off and keep their land as of everybody else. All right. So everybody had got their own land and their own culture and their own heritage. All right. Read on.
Verse 9. For the Lord's portion is his people. Jacob is the lot of his inheritance.
Right. But now when the Lord did it, he did it in consideration to the children of Israel. Israel was the last nation formed. All right. The last nation formed. And God said, I'm going to choose these people to be my inheritance. Everybody else, y'all can have y'all inheritance. Y'all have y'all land, but this is going to be my inheritance. And where I decide to put them, that's where they belong. What I decide to give them, that's what they deserve to have. All right. So the Lord created all nations thinking about his chosen people, Israel. So continue in the book of Genesis.
Read verse 10.
Oh, read verse 10.
It says, verse 10, he found him in the desert land. Talking about our forefather, right? And in the ways of howling wilderness, he led him about. He instructed him. He kept him as the apple of his eye.
Right, with the apple of the Most High eye. So now read that in Genesis.
Genesis chapter 10, verse 6. And the sons of Ham, Cush,
Mizraim.
And Put, and Canaan.
So now, Ham is the father of all Africans, right? Hold on, where my book bag at? There we go.
Sorry. Wait, what verse is it? 10?
Genesis chapter 10 verse 6. Look up Ham. Now we're about to find out who the Ham father, even though I told y'all, we're going to find out what biblical scholars actually say.
No one they haven't marked. Where are you?
H-A-M.
Yeah, get into it.
Definitely should be highlighted.
Yeah, I know. That's why. Okay, I'm almost there. I just don't want to pass it.
That's it. Read it.
The Zondervan's Compacted Bible Dictionary. Ham, the younger son of Noah. He became the progenitor of the dark races, not the Negroes.
Right, and it wasn't all dark races, and that's why he said not the Negroes. But because Shem produced dark nations. For example, Arabs sometimes can be dark as us. All right. East Indians sometimes could be dark as us or even darker than us. All right. So these are the people that Ham did not produce. Read it again from the top.
It says Ham, the youngest son of Noah, he became the progenitor of the dark races, not the Negroes.
Not what?
Not the Negroes.
So you're considered Negro. Didn't they call y'all Negro in slavery? But now the biblical scholars are saying Ham is not your forefather. Read on.
But the Egyptians, Ethiopians, Libyans, and Canaanites, according to Genesis chapter 10, verse 6 to 20.
There you go. So now read Genesis chapter 10, verse 6 again.
And the sons of Ham, Cush.
Cush is the Ethiopians. All right. Cush originally ruled the whole Middle East, which you're about to find that out now when we read on. All right, all of Arabia was Cush at one point. They ruled that. All right, but now Cush only abide in what we call Ethiopia today, which even back then Ethiopia was far more bigger than what it is now. All right, Ethiopia was all the way from Egypt going down into southern part of Africa. All right, read on.
And Mizraim.
And Mizraim is the Egyptians. You're going to find out that the Egyptians end up becoming one of the first peoples to have a ruling kingdom in the world. All right, read on.
And Put in Canaan.
And Put in Canaan. Put is the Libyans. All right, these people abiding on the east coast of Africa. All right, and Canaan are the Canaanites. These are the African tribes that were scattered throughout the Middle East and lived in Israel before we were even born. All right, read on.
And the sons of Cush, Seba, and Havilah. How you say that?
Havilah.
Havilah. And Sabta.
Right, Seba and Havilah is pretty much Arabia and Ethiopia. Okay, read on.
Ramah and Sapticha.
Try your best, read on.
The sons of
Ramah.
and Sheba and Dedan.
Right, Sheba. All right, and we know about the queen of Sheba. You know, read on.
And Cush begot Nimrod. He began to be a mighty one in the earth.
So now the Ethiopians, all right, Cush, the father of the Ethiopians, he begat Nimrod, and Nimrod became a mighty one in the earth. Right? He was a mighty hunter. All right, and hunting back in these days was very important. You didn't hunt, you didn't eat.
Yeah, it
right? Still is, right?
Yeah.
But now you're gonna see Nimrod wasn't just a hunter of animals, he was a hunter of souls. He was building up an empire.
Look at his eyes.
Yeah, he was.
That's what he was talking about. He was building an empire.
He
So
was
it's like
building an empire.
like recruiting. That's pretty much what he's saying.
But a hunter of souls.
When I say that, it's like, well, it's like the way we hunt for souls when we go teaching for the word.
Right.
You understand? Something superstitious. Soul. Like when we come back, oh, soul. It's fine.
Video game, man.
No, not like that. Not like that. Read on.
He began to be a mighty one in the earth. He was a mighty hunter before the Lord.
Right, because he wanted to start his own religion. Read on.
Wherefore, it is said, even as Nimrod, the mighty hunter before the Lord, and the beginning of his kingdom was Babel.
Now the word Babel means confusion. You ever heard somebody say like, "Oh, he's babbling"?
Yeah.
He's speaking a whole bunch of confusion, jibber jabber. You know what I'm saying? Gibberish. You know, that's you're about to find out why it was called Babel when we get into the next chapter. All right, but he had the land of confusion. Read on.
And Erech. And Akkad. And
Kalni.
You said what?
Kalni.
And the land of Shinar.
Right. So now all of these was the lands that we read last week when we were showing you on the map after the flood. They said that the first cities that erected was these cities right here. They saying civilization started here. So in the history book, in a college history book, that from my college, all right, they're telling you civilization started at this point. And the reason why he's saying at this point, because civilization before the flood was destroyed as we know it. All right. And now civilization came back again right here in the Mesopotamia area. All right. Read on.
Out of that land went forth Aisha.
Which is another way of saying Assyria. All right. Read on.
And builded Nivea.
Which is in modern day Iraq today. Read on.
In the city Rehoboth. And Kablah. And risen between Nivea and Calab. And the same in the great city.
So that whole Middle East, you see that it's all right. We all struggle with it at first. All right. So all of these cities and these countries that's being started was started by Ethiopians. All right. In today's time, Arabs live in these places now today. All right. But before Arabs lived there, Ethiopians had it first. They began those places first. All right, so now don't let documentaries like Hidden Colors mess you up. All right, because on one level they right, because the Bible's even saying Africans started those places, but then on another level they not, because they're trying to say everybody's African. And the Bible is telling you everybody's not African. Just that Africans, right? Africans were the first ones to start civilizations after the flood. All right, read on.
And Mizraim begot Ludim.
Now Mizraim is the Egyptians. Read on.
Begot Ludim.
Uh-huh.
And Anaman and Lehembed.
Lihabim, and to him.
Yo, don't make fun of your brother, man. He over here trying, man.
Not to him.
I ain't gonna lie. I ain't trying.
Keep reading.
And
Not to him.
not to him.
Uh-huh.
Hath Rusim.
Go ahead, sis. You got it.
Yeah, take over. See, I've been training my wife since we've been married.
Oh, I'm not that good either.
All right, let's see.
All right, so Pathrusim
Uh-huh.
and Casluhim,
Uh-huh.
out of whom came Philistine.
All right, so the Philistines that you read about later on that we was fighting in the land of Israel and all of that stuff, they are directly related to the Egyptians. They are the same people, same tribe. Read on.
And Caphtorim
Mm-hmm.
and Canaan began Sidon,
Uh-huh.
his firstborn, and Heth.
So Sidon is Zidon. All right, these are the people that lived in Israel themselves. All right, last night we was actually just reading about these people, how they got kicked out of their land by the Greeks. All right, but these people lived on the sea coast of Israel, and then we never was able to kick them out. All right, we got everybody else out of the land except for them. Read on.
And the Jebusites, or Jebusite in this case,
Mm-hmm.
and the Amorite, and the
Girgashites.
Girgasite.
Right, and also the people of Zidon, these are the same people that were called Phoenicians and they became pirates. All right, one of the best kept secrets, they don't tell you that pirates was people of color too. These was African people, and they traveled the whole Mediterranean Sea and the Arabian Sea dealing with trade and import and export. And these are some of the same tribes. When you read in Hebrewisms in West Africa, they tell you that these tribes had linked up with the French and the Portuguese to capture people in Africa and sell them into slavery. All right. So these were some of the Africans that actually sold us. Read on.
And the Hittite, and the Archite, and the Sinite,
Mm-hmm.
and the Arvadite. That's how pretty much I pronounce it. Arvadite.
Dite.
There's no D.
Keep going. Yes, it is a D.
But I put the D with the VAD. Arvadite.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. And the Zemarites,
Mm-hmm.
and the
Hamathite.
Hamathites,
Mm-hmm.
and the Canaanites spread
You just
abroad.
skip those.
Afterwards were the families of the Canaanites spread abroad.
So the family of the Canaanites was spread abroad. All right, they were spread throughout the Middle East, spread throughout the continent of Africa. Like I said, these were the same tribes that actually sold us into slavery. Yaakov, could you get the book of Joel, chapter 3, verse 2 for me? All right. So when you talk about who sold us into slavery, some of the tribes were our own people, but not all of them, though. It was only like maybe 2 tribes that was our own people that sold us into slavery. The rest of the tribes were actually Canaanite tribes who were foreigners to that part of Africa, just like us. All right. And they teamed up with the French and the Portuguese, all right, because they was already pirates and ruling the sea. All right, and they sold us into slavery.
You're about to read another book, right? Real quick. I'm gonna go take her to show her where this stuff is at.
Yeah, you can take her.
Be right back.
Read the book of Joel, chapter 3, verse 2.
Joel chapter 3, verse 2. I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat.
Right. So the valley of Jehoshaphat is in the land of Israel. All right, so the Lord said in the last days, He's going to take all nations and somehow make them be there in Israel, which is happening today. The Christians feel like they need to lay claim to the land. The Muslims feel like they need to lay claim to the land. The Chinese want to invest in parts of Israel and parts of Africa. Every nation on the face of the planet have their hands in Israel right now today. which is the reason why I'm really not eager to go visit it. All right, because I would hate to see our homeland destroyed like the way it is today, mixed up with all of these different philosophies and religions. But read on.
And will plead with them. Beg for my people.
So now all of the destruction that's happening there in the Middle East, that's the Lord pleading with them, because you read in the book of Isaiah, he said he's going to plead with us with fire and a sword. All right, read on.
And for my heritage, Israel.
So that's why he's bringing like the terror attacks that happen when people put bombs on themselves and blow up buses and all that stuff. And I think a few years ago, you had somebody just randomly running over Israeli people and all of that stuff. All of that is the Lord bringing that upon them for what they done, what they forefathers done to our forefathers, and what they do to us still to this day. All right, the black church sent billions of dollars to the Israeli people in the land of Israel for them to treat us like crap. All right, and for them to tell African immigrants that you're not allowed here, and then turn around and tell the people of Ghana to let them into the African Union. All right, this is the reason for it. This is the reason why the Lord bringing that terrorism over there. Read on.
Whom they have scattered among the nations.
So the Lord said that they scattered Israel amongst all people. That's why they call it the triangle slave trade. All right. And not just through the triangle slave trade, but the Sahara slave trade as well. They sold our people all throughout the Middle East as slaves. Our people don't know who we are. We slaves to Indian people over there. All right, slaves to different Arabian people over there. And you don't know your nationality. All right, read on.
And parted my land. And they have cast lots for my people. And they have given a boy for a harlot.
So when they say they cast lots for his people, right? Casting lots is 1 nigga, 2 nigga, 3 nigga, sold. All right? I'm saying it in a joking manner, but it's true. It said they cast lots for our people, sold us on auction blocks, and gave a boy for a harlot. This is the reason why our young men got the whoremongering spirit that they have on them today. Because they would try to circumcise our women so they wouldn't feel no pleasure in sex. Take the strongest male slave that they could find and then force him to breed with her so they could produce a stronger slave.
Why you cover your ears?
I thought you was going to say something.
Yeah. But they did. They called it buck breaking all throughout the Caribbean. You should never brought it up, brother. All throughout the Caribbeans, all right, they would take the strongest men slaves and rape them in front of everybody.
Yeah.
All right. Just so they women and their family would know you don't have a protector. You don't have nobody that could protect you. You understand? And this is what they've been doing to us. All right. And not just in slavery, but even in times before that. You know, TV shows that's good to watch. TV shows the Spartacus. They got a lot of sexual content in it. But if you mature, he be up late night watching it. You know, but if you mature, you will see the history in it. They depict Rome very accurately in that TV show.
Yeah.
All right. And the Roman people would enslave different black people like Arabs, Israelites, and Africans, and they would do the same thing to them. Break the men down, have sex with them so that they would know, like, you're not strong.
You're whatever I want you to be, pretty much.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Read on.
Whom they have scattered.
No,
sorry.
Yeah, read that part again. When they scattered.
Whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land. And they have cast lots for my people. And have given a boy for a harlot.
So they sold the boy for a harlot. Read on.
And sold a girl for wine.
And sold a girl for wine.
I'll be back. I'm gonna get him juice.
You can get him some juice. And they sold a girl for wine. Now you read in Hebrewisms in West Africa, it tell you that the Kuamanti tribe had to be strangers to the land and the rest of Ashanti, because the way that they were sold for barely nothing. They were sold for wine and musket guns. All right. And you had European explorers getting drunk all throughout Africa on the coast. All right. This is what they sold us for, and it's documented in real history, but you read the prophecy of it in the Bible thousands of years before it actually happened. All right, that's how real that this Bible is. You got to understand how old this Bible is. People keep saying, oh, Kemet and Kemet and Kemet and Kemet, all right? But all of the Kemet temples are mashed down to nothing. But what you see in the Bible, we got biblical prophecies that's still standing after thousands of years, after many rulers and empires came up who hated the Bible and tried to destroy it and erase it from history. The Bible is still standing. And these prophecies are proven to be true the more you go into the history and the more you look at your surroundings today, right? Read on.
Yeah, and what have ye to do with me, O Tyre and Zidon?
O Tyre and who?
Zidon.
So now this is the people that we're reading about right now through the African lineage. The Lord is pointing them out specifically. Read on.
And all the coast of Palestine.
And all of the coast of Palestine. The Palestinians, originally the Palestinians was the Philistines. Those were the ancient African people. But in today's time, when you think of a Palestinian, who do you think about? Arabs.
Yeah, Arabs.
All right. So the Lord is calling out the Africans and the Arabs. Read on.
Will ye render me a recompense?
He's saying, can you pay me back for what you did to my people? Because they both profited off of our people. All right. Read on.
For the little one.
Oh, yeah, he has.
Oh, he has one. Oh.
And if ye would recompense me swiftly and speedily, while I return your recompense upon your own
The Lord
head.
said he don't even want them to pay him back.
Yeah.
Because the type of damage that they've done to us is unexplainable. Me and my wife was just talking about today about the making of bean pies. All right. People see bean pies and it's a Muslim thing. And it is. I love bean pies. All right. Love them. But in today's time, if you don't know nothing about the nation of Islam, the black Muslims, you would have no idea that black people invented bean pies. You would have no idea that black people invented bean pies.
It was actually made. They took like sweet potato pie, the idea, but they tried to go as far away from anything that remind them about slavery. So instead of using sweet potato pie, they came up with a different dough to still have something that is theirs, but not something that remind them of slavery. And that's how they came up with the idea.
And they came up with the concept of bean pies.
With the bean pie idea.
Mm-hmm. So this is the evil that they've done. Read on.
We can have it too.
Because ye have taken my silver and my gold.
That the Lord called us silver and gold. Read on.
And have carried into your temples my goodly, pleasant things.
Right. They took all of the beautiful things that we had in the actual temple and they took it for themselves. Now in Israel today, where the temple used to be, they got the Dome of the Rock. Or not the Dome of the Rock, but they got the site of where the so-called Prophet Muhammad almost died, or where they had an assassinate attempt on him. You know what I'm saying? So they've taken the Holy Land. Read on.
The children also of Judah and the children of Jerusalem have ye sold unto the Grecians.
So the children of Judah and the children of Jerusalem, they sold us to the Grecians. And the Grecians are what kind of people today? White people. White people. Period. So Africans and Arabs sold us
Nowadays,
to white people. All right. This is the triangle slave trade.
Which makes them what?
Which makes who what?
The Africans what?
The Africans are what would you say to that when somebody's down with the crime?
Accessories.
Yes.
Accomplice,
all of that. Yeah. So
conspiracy.
right. So when you look at the judgment of how the Most High is going to come down for what they've done to our people,
Your hands was in the pot.
go to
you went down with
Deuteronomy
the shit.
24:7. I'm gonna show you because some people, the first thing that some people will say is, "Y'all sold yourselves into slavery," not knowing the difference between us and Africans, right? They're not gonna get loose from this judgment either. The Lord is just as angry at them as he is with the white man about putting us into slavery. Yep.
And if a man be found stealing any of his brethren of the children of Israel,
So if you be found stealing another man, we still going to Genesis. Read on.
and maketh merchandise of him,
And then you sell him as merchandise. Read on.
or sell of him, then that thief shall die, and shall put evil away from among you.
Right. So the person who sold us, according to the law, they gotta die. All right. And they always talk about my brother when they trying to sell you something.
What was that?
Deuteronomy 24:7. So we're gonna continue reading in Genesis chapter 10, and we was in verse 18.
19.
19. Thank you.
Genesis chapter 10, verse 19.
Mm-hmm.
And the border of Canaanites was from Sidon as thou comest to Gerar.
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 Right. So that was their border. They had the whole land of Israel originally first. All right. And then we kicked them out, and the only people we couldn't kick out was the Zidonians. But then later on, the Greeks came, and then the Greeks kicked the Zidonians out. All right. And then they just ended up being scattered around different places of the world.
What is Zidonians again?
Zidonians is the same Africans we saying sold us into slavery. Different African tribes. Phoenicians. What's up?
I focus better without the Bible, bro.
You said Deuteronomy what?
No, we in Genesis again. Genesis chapter 10, and we was reading verse 19. Read that again.
From the beginning?
Yeah, 19 from the beginning.
All right. Verse 19. And the border of the Canaanites was from Sidon or Zidon as thou comest to Gerar. Unto Gaza,
where all of the terrorism be happening at in Israel, right? Hezbollah there and all of that stuff. Read on.
As thou goest unto Sodom, and Gomorrah.
Right, and Sodom and Gomorrah was right next to the land of Israel, and still to this day, that land is destroyed because when God destroyed it, that land was nothing else but a pillar of salt. And still to that day is like that. It's called the Dead Sea now.
To that day.
To this day.
To this day.
Wilder, man. Telling you, I love that dude. But still, listen, Sodom and Gomorrah is proof that the God of the Bible is real. Because still to this day, they get sea salt from the Dead Sea and all of that stuff to wash your face with it and everything. But that really comes from the Lord destroying that land. Read on.
And Admah and Zeboim, even until Asha. Let me flip the page. Sorry. Verse 20. These are the sons of Ham after their families, after their tongues, in their countries and their nations. Unto Shem also the father of all the children of Eber.
Right. So now you got Shem, and Shem has forefathers. Well, Shem has children as well that's going to become nations. So now, like I said, most of the people in today's time that you classify as Middle East or Arab or Arabian or something like that, they come from the line of Shem as well as us. All right. A lot of people always wonder why black people don't look like African people, right? Because we look at their strong features, and then the only explanation people could come up with is, oh, the white man had raped your women. So now you came out looking like the white man and the African man.
More finer features. We have more finer features.
We're in Genesis chapter 10, right? But when you really look at it, you start finding out, and just Google black Arabs, all right? And you will see how many people over there in that region look like us. I got a picture of a Yemenite Jew, sister look like my wife, all right? You got Jews over there that look just like us, and you got different peoples that are not our people that look just like us because they come from the line of Shem. And the thing about Shem is Shem don't produce one color. Shem produce different ranges of colors of people. That's why you share features similar to the white man, because y'all both come from the same forefather. It's not because he raped that many of your women. People give the white man too much credit.
Yeah, you can't rape that many women.
That's too much credit. He ain't raped that many women. You know what I'm saying? Read on.
The brother of Japheth, the elder.
Because Japheth was the oldest. Read on.
Even to him were children born. The children of Shem, Elam.
So let's start right there. Let's deal with Elam. I like showing y'all what the children of Shem look like.
Because that's us.
I didn't bring it over here. I'm surprised.
What are you?
Hold on.
Uh-oh,
Let me
he
get
left.
Hold on. So once more again, going into encyclopedia, and we're gonna look up Elam.
Earthquake.
All right, so I'm gonna read this first. It says Elam, ancient country of Asia, north of the Persian Gulf and east of the Tigris, now in West Iran. So now I just gave you two locations, the Persian Gulf. Y'all know what Persian people look like? All right. And then it said in West Iran, all right, Pakistani people. Y'all know what Pakistani people look like? Do any of them look white?
Yeah.
They do?
No, they're so the difference is that you have what is the modern face of many places. Like in China, original Chinese people was people of color. If you go in Russia, it's the same thing originally. So the face of everybody, they normally whitewash them.
Yeah.
They sell some of the most basic products that they sell for like even the holiday season in Korea, North Korea, and South Korea is bleaching products.
Yeah.
In Jamaica, bleaching products. So you cannot think about what the face of it, but when you see the average person,
and when my wife said the face of
color.
it is what she's talking about with the media portrayed.
Exactly.
Because when y'all play the what they had a video game called what was the name of that video game about Persia?
Assassin's Creed? Oh, Prince of Persia?
Prince of Persia, right? And they make people look white in it, all right? And then none of them really look like that. You understand? Then you got and go on your own phone and Google Persians and go to images. And then you have so you got the Prince of Persia, the movies, the video games portray the Persian people as white.
He got it.
All right. Then you got then and what else? They got so many other things. Even like with dealing
even
with
the novellas and the movie Esther.
They portray all of them as white.
Even like for example, the movie The Avatar, which YouTube,
oh my goodness,
Netflix have promised not to whitewash, which is so it was so very interesting because Netflix is gonna do a sequel to it, right? Mm-hmm. And one thing that Netflix said that they promised, because a lot of people was upset about it, is that they're not going to whitewash the characters.
Right. How many of y'all ever watched Avatar: The Last Airbender? Oh. All right. Now, how many of y'all ever watched the movie The Last Airbender? Did you like it?
It was
that movie was so garbage. I hated it. I hated it.
I don't know what y'all talking about.
What? Yo, that movie was garbage. Yo, you're right, because they tried to put like a whole book in one movie.
Yeah.
You know?
No, because everybody's here. You understand? So he wondered who was back there. That's all.
But one of the
Enough.
But one of the reasons why a lot of people didn't like the movie was how they whitewashed a lot of the characters.
And they darken all the villains too.
Like when you watch The Last Airbender, right?
What image you want from the version?
There's one with like the Indian with the arrows on the wall. Like they whitewashed a lot of the characters, right? So a lot of the characters that was originally like dark skin, like Katara and Sokka and all of that, they made them white. But then the characters who were villains that was white in the cartoon, they made them look like the actual Persian people and had actual Persian people, Indian people playing it.
Never realized.
For example, Zuko. That was his name, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they made him like real Hindu, like, you know what I'm saying?
Zuko was
but he was white, like in the cartoon.
Yeah, he's pretty light. He's light. He's not white.
So why do they give him an arrow?
That you gotta watch the cartoon for that. We was just using it as an example.
Now this image right here, is an image that the ancient Persians made of themselves, and this is how they displayed themselves. All right, so you can pass this around. All right, so now Phone dying.
Lucky.
Where's the bad